So the first thing I have you do, Maria, tell me your first and last name, spell it, and what your title is.
Sure, it's Maria Oz, Maria, last name Awes, and I am an executive producer for Committee Films.
Awesome. Maria, this is something that here in the Des Moines market and really all across Iowa, we've been following this for such a long time. And then today, just over 30 years after the disappearance of Jodi Huisentruit, you guys have this docu-series that is launching. Tell me a little bit about what people are going to learn from this.
Yeah, I think what this docuseries does is it kind of gives a overarching picture of what this investigation into Jodi Huisentruit's disappearance has looked like over the past 30 years. We have chosen to focus on four different persons of interest in the case over that period of time. A couple names people certainly will have heard before, John Van Cise, Tony Jackson, but there are two brand new persons of interest who are sort of revealed for the first time here. And I think that viewers who both know the case and people who maybe don't are going to take away from this that this is a very involved, chilling, difficult to solve missing persons case.
A lot of this information or all of this information will be clearly covered in the docuseries. But what can you tell us about what you guys find out when it comes to these two people? Are these new names that have popped up in the last several weeks, months? How long have we known about this?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that my company and myself, I worked on a 2020 special for ABC News called Gone at Dawn, and this was back in 2022 that aired. After that program aired, one of Jodi's childhood friends, best friends, really, contacted the Mason City Police Department and then also us. With some information. So she had reason to believe that her own ex-husband may have had something to do with Jodi's disappearance. So we were able to follow along with Mason City as they chased that down. And so there's a lot of compelling bits of evidence that come out in the docuseries about why he may make sense as someone for law enforcement to look at. There was a search done on some property behind his home, which received quite a bit of attention. That was back here in Winstead, Minnesota. There was also, a polygraph done of this individual, extensive interviews, all of which viewers will get to see a little snapshot of in this show. While we were investigating that individual, another person also came to light. This one is a presumed serial killer who was responsible for two other women's murders, one in Missouri and one in Wisconsin Rapids. He has an extremely unique connection, I would say, to Mason City, and actually lived next door, or his girlfriend one time girlfriend lived next door to a different person of interest in Jodi's case. And so there's just a lot of connections and aspects of this that I think will be new for anyone who even thinks they know everything there is to know about Jodi's case. There's always more.
Do we know if these two people are still alive?
One of these individuals is alive. One of these individuals actually killed himself while he was in custody for the other homicides. That is the presumed serial killer who has killed himself. But, another piece of information that came out as a result of this, which is brand new for folks, is the fact that there's actually a composite sketch that was created of an individual seen lurking outside Jodi's apartment building 2 days before she vanished. Now, this is something brand new that Mason City Police have never revealed before, but on this show, you'll get to learn a lot more about that. And could that be her abductor?
There are people out there who've wondered because it's taken 30 years, and a lot of times you don't see a lot of investigations like this. We hear about them, from time to time, but where it takes someone 30 years to find someone, we still haven't been able to. From the work that you guys have done, is it clear that Mason City Police that they have still been working on this and they have been working on this all of this time?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the first things I tell people is that this isn't a cold case at all. Just because it's been 30 years doesn't mean this case has ever gone cold. And in fact, it occupies an enormous amount of time for Mason City Police, and particularly the lead investigator, Sergeant Terrence Prohaska. I can tell you from getting to know him and others in the department, they feel passionately about solving this, and I think they'll stop at nothing to do that. Part of the opportunity to be embedded there and follow along with them really is to showcase the kind of effort that they're putting forth every single day to try to find Jodi. And I think that that work will pay off. I do feel like somebody out there has the missing piece, and it's just a matter of time before we find that.
You guys also spoke with family, friends, colleagues. What's the feeling from them in all of this? Is it a lot of despair? Do they have hope that they're going to be able to eventually find who's responsible for this?
I certainly think that the family has hope, and we're so honored to be able to share some of the family and intimate details about who Jodi was as part of this piece. So, in addition to following along with the investigation, I think viewers will really get a sense of who Jodi was, and that is important to us. We always want to do programs where we have both the family and law enforcement involved. Those are the best kind of true crime programs out there, and I think that's what this is. You can never give up hope, and certainly the family has hope. She will come home.
Are you guys able to let the family, let the friends know about the composite or even the two new persons of interest?
Yes, so we've been in touch with the family, as has law enforcement. And so, it's always important for us. Nothing's going to be a surprise for the family. When they watch this show, they've been looped into all of this. And, certainly there's discussions and information behind the scenes about what does all of this mean. And I think that, everyone wants there to be resolution here. And certainly the hope is that, again, whoever has the missing piece that's needed to finally close this case, they want that person to come forward. I want that person to come forward. It is definitely time to close this out.
Such a complicated feeling. I know that I've talked to people who have felt this way. I know, in my family, I've even seen this. I have a cousin who was missing for a long time, and was found dead. And I know that there's a little bit of a you want the resolution, but this is also not the end that you want. What's the feeling for this family when it comes to, okay, we hear about these two people, these two possible persons of interest. Is there the feeling of excitement? Or is there the feeling of just we just want this to be over? I mean, what's going through their mind?
Yeah, I think more than anything, and I certainly don't want to speak for the family, but I think truly more than anything, they just want to know, where is Jodi? What happened? I think to the end that's maybe even more important than, you know, what a charges look like down the road or something. I mean, certainly everyone wants someone to be held accountable, but after all these years, you want your loved one back, right? Who doesn't want that? And I often think about just, I've been there actually to the parking lot of the key apartments where Jodi vanished from at that hour. And I think about that a lot. Like, she was just so close to getting in her car and never quite made it. And where did she go? Who took her? How did they do it? It's chilling, it's haunting, and I want the family to be able to get those answers.
I feel like covering something like this because it's something I know for us working in television, it's something that a lot of people relate to. I'm the morning anchor at our station, so I've seen this. I was talking to my co-anchor who she kind of has that same feeling, especially as a woman who leaves every morning to go to work at, 0 dark 30. It's something that can kind of get personal for you when you're seeing all of this unfold and learning more about it. How does that impact you? Is it a case that for you, you even kind of like you can't necessarily take it personally from a journalistic perspective, but did it kind of become a little bit of a personal attachment for lack of a better word?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the first time I even heard about Jodi's case, I was in a broadcast journalism class going to college, and we discussed this. There are still today, dangers for women in broadcasting. News was quite different back when Jodi disappeared, which was June 27th of 1995. I mean, she was very much a local celebrity, and news anchors, news broadcasters, that was really the case then. I mean, people were all watching television news, right? And so, now folks get their news all over online and YouTube and podcasts and everything. Well, then it really was just those stations, right? And so her case always resonated with me. She wanted to work her way up the chain. KIMT was actually her third station, I believe, that she worked at, and she had dreams of being like Connie Chung. And I think about, oh, didn't we all, right? I had dreams and aspirations like that at one point too. And I think women in general probably identify with Jodi and just this story, this sense of like, we've all been out there in the dark alone. You've got to get to your car. You've just got to get to your car and you're on edge. Well, for Jodi, something did happen, right? It's always a fear I think women have, but for Jodi, that fear was very much realized.
Absolutely. What else do people need to know about this docu-series and other things that are new that maybe they'll find out?
Right. I think that everyone will learn a lot more just about the depth of the investigation that has taken place over the last 30 years. People will certainly learn information about the new individuals who are kind of now in the mix as far as persons of interest. I think that it's extremely important for viewers to watch because now with this new information, does that trigger something new? Do the viewers in your area actually know the individuals or have seen them, back when this happened? It's all very important. The sketch, the fact that there's a sketch of this person and someone seen lurking there, all of this is new information and needs to be taken very seriously, not just by law enforcement, but the public who may have the answers that they're looking for to close it out.
Was there anything else? There's so much we could cover, but is there anything else that you think that people need to know about this that we haven't talked about today?
Yeah, I think one of the other things I would just say, first of all, I'm extremely, thankful and honored that the family chose to participate in this. I do think that that provides just such a important and special look at Jodi. I think what else I would say is this is an opportunity to set the record straight on some misinformation that has been out there, things that have been reported and re-reported that maybe aren't correct. So I would encourage folks who think they know a lot about this story to really take a look at this because there may be things you've long thought were true that aren't. And so I hope that everyone watches and kind of gets to know the special person and the wonderful broadcaster that Jodi was.
You able to touch on any of that misinformation right here?
Sure, I can tell you, one of the things that had been reported over time, just you'll see it if you Google online, that there was a bloody palm print found on her car, or, that's a great example of something that's simply not true. They did pull a palm print, but it was not from her vehicle. There was a palm print pulled from a light post, and it was not a bloody palm print. It was just a partial palm print. That could have potentially been from someone who was involved in Jodi's disappearance, but let's just think about a parking lot, right? That could be from literally anybody. And so I think just putting some of this evidence and items and things that have been collected over time, putting that in context is extremely important for all of these things. And it's just, a lot of things have been taken out of context over time. So those are just a few examples of things people might learn a little bit more about.
I'm glad you guys are clearing that up with this for sure. This is already on Hulu, correct?
Yes, it just dropped here for today. So yes, I certainly hope everyone watches. I think it's three parts. I think it really takes you through the entire investigation, kind of from start to present day.
Good deal. All right, Maria, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you so much.